What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Harari Boy, and today I wanted to talk about why the housing market may never crash as you would expect. So be sure to stay tuned for that. All right, guys, as some of you may know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've been searching all over Netflix to watch Dragon Ball episodes, but unfortunately, Netflix here just doesn't have them. But which version of Netflix does? Netflix Japan. Some of you might be wondering, how on earth am I accessing Netflix Japan, right? Well, that's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN is one of the top VPN services out there. It allows you to mask your location and browse securely, which is perfect for protecting your privacy. Plus, NordVPN can basically change your location to anywhere in the world with just a few clicks. So it's just as easy as that. That's how I'm able to access Netflix Japan and binge all of the Dragon Ball episodes that I can fathom. It's not just about watching international shows, however. NordVPN adds an extra layer of security basically as you're browsing, so your personal information stays safe and your online activity remains private. If you want to unlock more content and protect your privacy online, head over to nordvpn.com/harariboy to get over 70% off a 2-year subscription plus 3 months free. And if you don't like it, you can cancel within 30 days and get a money back guarantee. It is worth the peace of mind and extra content you'll have access to. All right, so let's talk about the market crash, right? What is that? So, what if I told you the biggest mistake home buyers can make right now is not buying too early, but waiting for the crash that just may never come? We've been trained to think the housing market and stock market, for that matter, has to crash eventually, right? People are sitting on the sidelines waiting for the next 2008 to happen. But what if the market just doesn't collapse? What will happen then? Well, what if it becomes permanently more expensive? Huh? So, by the end of this video, I'm going to explain the one thing I think you should look at before deciding whether to buy, rent, or wait. And it's not just about the mortgage rate. So we'll go ahead and break that down. All right, the first thing is this is a very different housing market. 2008 was a financial crisis. Yes, I think we've established that. Today's problem is more about the affordability crisis. Totally different, right? People had money back in 2007. People were thriving. The economy was doing well, and all of a sudden a collapse happened, right? It just happened overnight for a lot of people. So those two are two completely different things right now. In 2008, there was just too many homes to buy, too many homes and too much risky lending that cause that collapse. Today, the problem is that there aren't enough affordable homes. So the supply and demand curve flipped here. Buyers are still struggling, but existing homeowners aren't necessarily forced to sell, right? Like we saw in 2008. So that's the huge difference. So the key point, the key takeaway here is a market can be unaffordable without automatically being a crash. Okay. All right. So the locked in homeowner problem. What is this? So a lot of homeowners have locked in at a very low rate. So imagine having a mortgage rate in the 3% range right now. That is like a dream for a lot of people, right? A lot of you. Now imagine selling your house and buying another one at today's rates, right? You're not just moving houses, you're potentially taking on a much bigger monthly payment on top of it. So much more than what you're expecting. You might even get less house for it. Who knows? So homeowners stay where they are. Less people are incentivized to sell, less inventory hits the market, and buyers have fewer choices. This creates a weird situation. Buyers can't afford much, sellers don't want to sell, builders can't build fast enough. So the result is the market freezes instead of crashing. So we might be headed for a market freeze. We're arguably in a market freeze currently right now, but that's where things stand. So it's not necessarily a curve. All right. Sorry, a crush. All right. So, what is the big question here? Where are all the cheap houses? Right? Where the heck are they? This is where I think people are misunderstanding the market. People say prices are too high. Nobody can afford this. So prices have to come down eventually, right? But that's not necessarily how the market works. Like I just explained, the supply and demand curve is there. So supply stays limited as it is, prices can remain elevated even when affordability gets worse. The market doesn't have to make sense emotionally. It only has to respond to the supply and demand curve. Okay, so that's economics 101. All right, so the normal we remembered may not be normal anymore. Think about what people consider normal: cheap mortgages, affordable homes, rising wages, easy access to credit lines, which we try to stay away from here, right? Cheap construction costs, lower insurance costs. That's not necessarily the environment we're living in anymore. And the mistake is assuming the market has to go back to the way it was. So maybe 3% mortgages were the exception, not the rule. Maybe $200,000 houses were the exception, not the rule. All right. So couple things to just keep in mind there. So, all right. So the most important shift right now, housing is becoming an asset problem, right? Especially with that new bill that just got passed or that I talked about in our last video. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. The harder it becomes to buy your first home, the more important it becomes to already own one, right? You want to just get your foot in the door and anchor onto something that's going to go up in value. Existing homeowners have equity right now. They've been paying it down at their low mortgage rates and that they got, and they can potentially sell and move potentially, but they can also potentially rent out their property. Meanwhile, first-time home buyers are starting from zero, right? So that's what's happening. Forever renters. This is the dilemma that they face. This creates a widening gap or wealth gap, I should say, between people who already own an asset and people trying to buy their first one. So that's the part I think people should pay attention to. Okay. So I think homeowners are going to essentially become like the next, I don't know, percentage, let's call it. I hope it's not the case, but top 5% of people will own a home. So essentially, you want to be in that small percentile. Hopefully it's a bigger percentile, but you want to lock into it and just be a part of the upside, right? So that's why it's very important to find what you can afford in this market right now. And yes, there are still places and markets to afford for a lot of people. It might mean moving out a lot further than the city, and it's maybe a new city, new town, one that isn't as established as the one you're living in. Those are things to keep in mind, but you just want to get into something that you can afford right now and stay there. So what's the next thing here? Don't make your entire financial plan around a crash. All right, so this is very important. Just like I say in the stock market, you can't time the market, right? You cannot time the housing market either. It's just another form of the market. So this is where I think people can get themselves into trouble. You can spend years waiting for the rates to drop, prices to crash, the perfect moment, which I'll stop at that second or that first point right there, rates to drop. If you're waiting for that purpose, I think you should stop waiting. The reason being is because that can change. That's the variable rate. Prices may not necessarily change, right? Or I should say crash, but the rates changing, that's an ongoing thing for the most part. So if you're afraid of the rates where they're at right now, get into something that you can afford, lock in that rate. And then if the rates do eventually go down, you always have the option to refinance. So that shouldn't deter you. Essentially, there's no perfect moment. And while you're waiting, life is still happening. Rent is still being paid. You're just throwing away your money. We always say 1 to 2 years you should be renting, and then the rest you should be owning. So inflation is still happening. Home prices may still move. The opportunity cost of waiting is very real. So a lot of people don't realize that. So, but here's the important part. I'm not saying rush out and buy a house like right this second. Obviously, I'm saying don't build your entire financial future around something you cannot predict at the end of the day. So you just need to be cautious of that. The one principle I would follow in this type of a market that we're in, just buy based on what you can afford. Like I'm just reiterating this, not what you hope will happen. All right. So that's a key distinguishing factor there. Don't buy because the prices are going up tomorrow. Don't buy because you're afraid of being priced out of the market. Don't buy because your parents told you renting is throwing money away. Obviously, renting long term is throwing money away, but short term, it just makes sense for a lot of people. Just have a plan. Don't buy because everyone else is buying, and don't wait because you're convinced a 30% crash is guaranteed. Run the numbers, check your finances. What can you afford right now? A lot of rent is going higher still than mortgages, so that might be something to consider. Can you handle the taxes, the insurance? This is obviously overlooked. Repairs, maintenance, these are also things that are overlooked. So make sure to calculate these in your monthly payments or your expense costs for your home. So what happens if your income drops? If the numbers don't work, the answer is no, regardless of what market is doing. So just focus on your finances first before you essentially go out there in the market to buy. All right. So here's where I think people get confused. A house can be a great investment at the end of the day. but a house is also where you live, right? Your primary residence. Those are two different things. You're not buying an asset, you're buying essentially a mortgage, property tax, insurance, repairs, maintenance, and less flexibility at the end of the day. So I wouldn't buy a house purely because I think it's going to appreciate at the end of the day. Even if it depreciates, your primary residence should not matter because that is where you're going to live. That's where you're going to stay. You want to, the goal for a primary residence is to be debt free and just to pay it outright and nobody can take it away from you. All right. So the first question should be, can I comfortably afford to own this? Just like you would with anything else, the appreciation will definitely come second. It's just like a nice, happy little added bonus in case you want to move up to something bigger down the line. All right. So renting is not automatically throwing away your money. Like I just said, this is one of the biggest misconceptions about housing. Rent is cost, but so is owning. Interest is cost. Taxes are cost. Insurance is a cost. Maintenance is a cost. Closing is cost, and selling costs are also a cost. All right. So the real comparison isn't rent versus mortgage. It's what does it actually cost me to rent versus the total cost of owning, and focus in on that word total because it is going to be a total of many things I just listed out there for your payment as opposed to rent. All right. So they're both costs at the end of the day. It's what cost can you afford? All right. So sometimes renting might win. I say short-term renting, like 1 to 2 years, and sometimes buying might win, right? If you have the funds for it, what are you waiting on the sidelines for? Just go ahead and do it, right? The numbers decide at the end of the day. The numbers just don't lie, all right? So you have to be very factual where you are in terms of that. The trap of waiting for the perfect time, all right? So the reason why this is a trap, here's the irony. If mortgage rates drop dramatically, right, more buyers may jump back into the market. What happens? More demand could push the prices even higher. So it's 2020 all over again. All right. So the thing is not what you're waiting for could actually create another problem for you. So lower rates don't automatically mean cheaper homes at the end of the day. We saw the exact opposite just a few years ago. That's what led to this. Sometimes lower rates simply mean more competition. So keep that in mind. Yes, the investors are out, but still regular old people are still looking for houses. So you're just thinking about your competition going up. And then the perfect combination is low rates, low prices, high inventory that just may never show up. So there's no perfect time. So you cannot time the market. I reiterate, just go ahead and do what you have to do. If you can buy right now, go ahead and do that. If you need to build up to that, then definitely build up to that, but never time the market. So what I would watch instead is going to be, forget trying to predict the exact bottom. Watch your own financial decisions, watch your income, your financial situation, watch your debt, watch your emergency fund, watch the payment that you have to pay, the total payment encompassing of everything I listed, and watch the local market you're actually buying in. All right. Because that definitely fluctuates and that can determine whether or not you can essentially afford to buy in that area. So the national housing market doesn't pay your mortgage at the end of the day. So your specific numbers do. So that's where your focus needs to lie. So at the end of the day, a house should not make you house poor. So we talk about that as well. This is where people get caught. So I'm sure you heard this term a lot, but what it exactly means is they technically qualify for the house, right? You can be qualified for even up to almost half of your income, your monthly income, but they can't comfortably afford the house. So I typically would say 25 to 30% range of your monthly income should go to your mortgage. If less, even more perfect, but that will give you the wiggle room so you don't have to be on this house poor trajectory. All right. So there's a huge difference here. Being approved for a mortgage doesn't mean you should take the mortgage, right? The bank is looking at whether you can make the payment. That's all they care about. You need to think of whether you can live your life after making the payments. All right. Is it going to take two checks a month for you to afford it, like two biweekly checks, let's say, for example? Or can you afford it in one biweekly check? So can you still save? Can you still invest? Handle an emergency fund, take vacation, replace your car, and fix the roof at the end of the day? Okay. So those are the costs that you need to consider. And if you have enough wiggle room for anything that just might come up. So the question I would ask before buying is, if the value of the house didn't increase for 10 years, would I still be happy I bought it? right? If the answer is yes, that's a much healthier reason to buy in this market. You're buying a place to live at the end of the day. You're buying stability. You're not relying on appreciation to bail you out. If the only reason you want to be house is because you're thinking you're going to make money, that's when I would be careful. All right. This is not a secondary residence. This is not an investment property that comes later after you have your full walls taken care of. Okay. All right. So don't try to outsmart the market. Nobody knows exactly what mortgage rates will do tomorrow. Nobody knows when prices will crash, where they will be at in 5 years from now. Essentially, nobody knows the next recession, right? Nobody knows when inventory will suddenly increase. So what you can control right now is your income, your savings, your debt, your credit, your emergency fund, and how much house you can buy. So focus on the things you actually control, not the ones that you don't. The real housing reset, maybe the reset isn't a crash, right? Maybe it's simply that the housing becomes more expensive relative to income. Maybe buyers have to adjust their expectations. Maybe people rent longer. Maybe people buy smaller homes. Maybe people have moved to different areas, or maybe even more people live with their family longer, right? Again, at the beginning stages, if you're afforded that opportunity, that's very good. That's the time when you should essentially save the most. The biggest change may not be the price of the house. It may be what people have to have in order to afford one. All right. So my biggest takeaway here, I don't think the smart move is buy immediately. And I don't think the smart move is waiting for the next 2008 to happen or buy immediately before the price go up. Don't have that fear. The smart move is get your financial house in order first and make the decision after that. If you're financially ready and the numbers work, buy. If they don't, rent for now. If you need more time, save. And therefore, no prize for becoming, there's no prize for becoming a homeowner while becoming financially broke at the end of the day. Okay. So finally, the final payoff is going to be essentially the biggest mistake isn't buying at the wrong time. It's buying something you can't afford or waiting for the perfect opportunity. Like I said, the housing market might change, rates might go up, prices might change. So these are all things I want you guys to think about. Your financial foundation is what determines whether those changes will actually hurt you. And instead, you need to be asking, can I afford this without sacrificing my financial future? I'll leave you guys with that. Let me know in the comment section below where you guys are in your home buying process. Are you already a homeowner? Are you renting? I would like to know. Also, be sure to like if you got value out of this video. Thumbs up will definitely go a long way. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification for all future updates. And with that, I appreciate you guys like always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.